Hi, I'm Reed, this is Crowline Publishing, and we're doing a series on using existing texts as inspiration for our ttrpg games. And this week, we're going to do Monkey! Sometimes called Monkey Magic, and some of you guys are already doing the narration and singing the song, Elemental Forces cause the egg to hatch. Now, Monkey was a popular action TV show in the 1970s, and it's become a huge cult hit since then. And for many of us, it was our first look at Asian pop culture. Now, Monkey was ostensibly a version of Journey to the West, which is a very popular legend about a monk who's traveling from the politically and spiritually troubled China to India to bring back sutras, which are magic books and magic treasures, which will help spread Buddhism, which will help spiritually and politically save China, and just help people. Now, on the way, this magical holy fool monk finds companions. Sandy, who's a fallen angel. Now, he'd failed to protect a magical treasure from a magical monkey. So he's thrown down to Earth and is reborn as a sea ogre thing. But in the TV show, he looks just like a person with a cool necklace of skulls. Pigsy is another fallen angel. Pigsy is my favorite. He is a marshal of the heavenly host. And he's cast out for being a lustful, lazy, greedy pig. So he's reborn as, well, it's a pig, isn't it? A monkey. Sun Wukong. You probably know him from other kind of Chinese and Asian themed stories. Monkey is the king of the monkey spirits, and he's always up to no good. He loves to fight, he's impulsive, brash, he's arrogant, he thinks everyone else is dumb, and he's just a chaotic mess. But he's also, he's a god. He's at the very least a very powerful spirit. So he goes up to heaven, he gets upset he's not thrown in a party, or he's not invited to parties, so he decides to insult Buddha, which doesn't work out very well. So he's thrown under a mountain. That's his punishment. He's there for 500 years. And then Tripitaka comes along and frees him. And then they meet up with the other guys, and the four of them travel together to India. And that's the bulk of the show, is that their adventures. And each particular episode is a new kingdom or a new nationality or a new whatever. And they get into a cool adventure. Also, the horse is a former dragon prince who can sometimes talk, but he's mainly a horse. Now, the show itself is anarchic, it's charming, it's silly, it often just plays itself for laughs. Tripitaka, the holy fool, the most perfect monk in the entire world, gets drunk and goes to the disco to meet girls in one particular episode. And for a generation of guys, it's just a huge cult following. It's really, really fun. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it, that you give it a watch. But it's just such a good model for a TTRPG. India is far away. Demons control the land. Many kingdoms and principalities have fallen to evil. So not only do you have this basic model of just traveling somewhere, getting something and coming back, that's how you win the campaign, but Monkey and Pigsy and Sandy, they all have supernatural enemies they've made. And if Buddhism returns to China, Buddha will destroy the demons. So none of the demons want Tripitaka and the guys to succeed. So every week there is a pretty clear, basic, here is the bad guy. Here's the bad guy's plans. Here's how they're going to defeat each other. Plus, on top of that, you have these four different personalities that distinctly clash with one another. Fantastic setup for a TTRPG game. So ultimately, this kind of campaign is really just a huge fetch quest, but that is actually very easy to build around. And OSR kind of games and older forms of D&D are absolutely built around these sorts of campaigns, and they have great resources for making these sorts of campaigns. You can use all your hex map and exploring tricks and traps. You can use 1,000 different kinds of random tables for making adventures. And the idea is that each time the players advance on the world map towards their goal, be that India or the dragons there or whatever, the DM can prepare and generate a side quest. And those side quests are the campaign. And tell the players this is the campaign. This journey is itself the reward, not necessarily the destination. Get involved in these side plots, or it'll just be a scene after scene of you guys walking and hiding from stuff. Not a great idea for a TTRPG game. Now, I'm not going to be talking about recreating Monkey in campaign form, although you can do that if you like, I'm not your dad. But I'm just talking about using the setup, the plot engine, as a campaign model. But Monkey is a Japanese show based on a Chinese religious adventure from a few years ago now. It is not Western fantasy and is worth looking at alone for adventure ideas. Here's a few of my particular faves, here's a few that I have personally stolen for my games. And if you like them, why not give us a like, or tell your friend. Anyway. A country is physically divided. One half is always day, and one half is always night. The king and the queen, two immortals, are fighting because they're having a divorce and it's going quite badly. People on the sunny side, ruled by the king of day, they're going mad from their lack of sleep. And the night, well, That's been overrun by vampires, isn't it? The party meet a man who is digging a tunnel through a mountain. His family died here in the high passes overhead, so it's holy to him to make this mountain passable and safe. Now you've got 3 or 4 high-level magical characters. They go, okay, well, we'll help you. It'll take a few hours. We have magic. But the guy doesn't want to cheat. And the punishingly moral Tripitaka goes, no, using muscle is the right way to go. It's the moral thing. Now, of course, there is a twist, and the holy pilgrim is lying. He's actually after a magical treasure that's within the mountain. Next, Tripitaka has a dream that a local king is a disguised demon. But here's the thing, is that if he's a demon, he's actually a very good king. He's helping out his people. Everything's going great. Everyone's getting fed. There's no war. Is the priest mistaken? Or have they met a good demon? A magical lake is teleporting all around the kingdom, and demon locusts are following it. The locust queen, who's a particularly vicious bad guy in Monkey actually, has a particular hatred of Buddhism, and this magical lake is a symbol of Buddhism in the country, so she will stop at absolutely nothing to defile it. So the party have to not only figure out where the lake is going to be, they then have to prepare themselves for a pretty big sort of siege battle scenario. So alright, there's 5 solid adventure hooks. Now, Monkey also gives us a look at how Asian cultures view their own fantasies and their own fantastic stories, in the same way that Lord of the Rings is a sort of hallucinated Europe. Now, D&D, let's be honest, it's been well-meaning but clueless when it comes to other cultures. Oriental Adventures from 1st edition is a great example. It really does want to be inclusive. It's a good faith attempt to bring in Asian cultures and peoples and character classes into your game, but it ended up with a mess of stereotypes and tropes that Asian people said that they found quite uncomfortable. But if you want to use specifically Asian influences, Monkey is a great demonstration of how the aesthetics looks, the clothes, the hair, the landscape, the food, the art, and the weapons as well for our D&D purposes. Pigsy's muckrake and Sandy's cool monk spade. And heaven as well. It's not a choir of angels, it's a celestial court with factions and intrigue. The spiritual beings are things like bodhisattvas, the demigods. It's all quite different, and magic as well looks very different. It's not just I cast fireball. So if you are interested in a fantastic version of medieval China, Monkey is very, very good for that. But the last and the best reason to use Monkey as a model for a campaign is the character dynamics. And any DM, even if you don't like fantasy, even if you're not a D&D guy, have a look at Monkey for how the characters play off against each other. First of all of them will get a huge reward from this mission's success. They want to go to India, they want to come back. Monkey will have finished his penance to Buddha. He'll be free to become, king of the monkeys again and get back up to his old havoc if he still wants to. Pigsy and Sandy will go back to heaven. They will be rewarded, and Tripitaka will have done a great service to his religion. So all of them are invested in a victory, all of them are invested in winning, all of them are invested in the campaign being successful for a role-playing level. So there's a reason why you keep working together, even though you might have a diverse set of character traits. And for players, this is the really important thing about Monkey. It is a brilliant model for how very different kinds of personality types can stick together and work together in a party setting. Tripitaka is the holy fool. He's young, he's naive, he's incredibly nice, he's enormously religious, and he's incredibly devoted to his cause, and he detests unnecessary violence. He is the only one with his magic who can control Monkey, who's absolutely a wild card. And even though Tripitaka is not tactical or combative, he is the moral leader that these 3 demigods are sworn to serve to their frustration. He's very lawful good. Sandy, he's very vain. He's not very brave, and he's a know-it-all who rarely shuts up, and he always thinks he's the smartest person in the room. Sandy is the smartest person often in the room, and Tripitaka respects him. Sandy thinks that Monkey is a psychotic idiot. He thinks that Pigsy is a brute and a gross lech, and he really does want to go back to heaven. And he sucks up to Tripitaka to get that. He's absolutely lawful neutral. Pigsy chases women, eats poor people's food, gets drunk, he steals a lady's underpants off the line. He also fancies himself as the handsomest and the suavest of all the characters. But Pigsy is also quite kind to humans, which Monkey is often not, and Sandy is also rarely. He's a better fighter than Sandy, but he's not as good as magic at Sandy. He thinks Sandy sucks, and he's openly jealous of Monkey. He thinks Tripitaka is kind of wet. Tripitaka never has sex, never drinks, doesn't eat very much. But he's sworn to serve Tripitaka, even though Tripitaka is kind of boring. And then there's Monkey. Monkey is one of the great characters of fantasy fiction. He's very powerful, he's great in a fight, he's very wild, he's very impatient, he thinks Sandy is a boring idiot, he thinks Pigsy's a drunken buffoon, and he likes Tripitaka, but he resents having to protect this boy in the name of Buddha, who he doesn't really like. Monkey met Buddha. He did a wee on Buddha's hand, so he's not close to Buddha. So this is a very frustrating, very long probation sentence, but he just has to get it done. And he really resents that. Now, the four of them have a lot of magical powers between them. They're quite high level in terms of D&D, so you might want to go and have a look at the show just to see what a fairly large amount of combat and magical powers together look like and what they can look like in your campaign. But what you really want to steal is the fact that these four personality types are designed to play off one another. They're designed to be funny, to have interesting adventures, to have interesting clashes with one another, but of course they're all, more importantly than any of this, they're all trying to work together, even though they find that quite difficult. Now, I've said this many times, but players, if you want a strong narrative campaign, plan out your PCs with the DM, plan out your PCs with other players. Find reasons to share a goal, but find reasons to clash in the implementation of that goal. Have conflicts with one another, not violent conflicts, but emotional, moral, ethical conflicts. Pigsy is forever trying to be cooler than Monkey. Tripitaka is constantly tested in his faith, and even though he's trying to be a cool Zen monk, he gets genuinely angry at Monkey's indiscipline and violence. Sandy and Pigsy, they're competitive. They're both playing for second place. And it's fun to watch characters clash and to have a rivalry. It's fun to watch their interesting backstories come in. Sandy's dad was kicked out of heaven because Sandy shamed the family. Pigsy's backstory isn't him failing the gods like Sandy did. He insulted them by thinking he had a chance with the Emperor of Heaven's girlfriend. And in a campaign where gods and spirits are often NPCs, Pigsy's backstory is a common source of conflict, but also embarrassment to the party. It's a really interesting way to bring backstory into a campaign. As for Monkey, he has an entire kingdom that's waiting to get back to him. He has an entire kingdom also that's waiting for him to come back and cause havoc and conflict again. Is he going to grow past this need? Again, backstory, character growth, it's all here in Monkey. I'm sorry if my voice was a little bit funny on this one, by the way, guys. I'm having some multiple sclerosis problems across my chest, and I'm having a little bit of problems breathing, but anyway. So to summarize, set a goal. The campaign should be about getting somewhere, finding something, a goal that all the PCs genuinely want or need to achieve, and that they can't achieve by themselves. Use some old school techniques, either set up some adventure location tables, or plan out mini quests in advance. Have a session 0 where you plan some fun character dynamics, and you'll have a pretty great model for a campaign. So, grab some DVDs. There's also a new version on Netflix right now, but, I mean, if you must. But, watch the original. Summon your flying cloud. Great Sage, Equal of Heaven. This is Crayland Publishing. Give us a like. See you later.